welcome back to the Inspiration Station where stories spark action. I'm your host, Mr. U. Wherever you are and however you're watching this episode, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can find all of our shows across all social media and podcast listening platforms. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. In studio with us, impact investor, serial entrepreneur, author, and global keynote speaker, Florian Kemmerich is with us. Florian, how are you, sir? So good to see you.
Pleasure. Likewise. Thank you for having me here with your community.
Pleasure's mine. Good to have you here. I got a few things that I think stand out about what I've learned about you. I went into you in the past. I thought we had an interview scheduled years ago, but I don't think it happened. But so I'm familiar with your work. But I'd love for you to kind of speak because we are in the AI era, so to speak. And a lot of people are thinking about this and they have these different polarizing opinions about AI. For a young professional who is graduating today and are uncertain about their future in a world that seems to be shaped more and more by AI, what advice would you give them?
So on that side, we are moving from the old way. We had a knowledge economy, years and years accumulating knowledge, and now we're entering into the creator economy. So knowledge is no longer an asset because you have it in the fingertip. So that changes everything for young people. And that also wipes out the entry-level jobs because you're not coming in as a junior and over the years, you earn more because you climb up the ladder. All of that is changing. So you need to understand that in the creator economy, if you fight the machine saying you're better than AI, you will lose. So you better embrace AI. Now, one important part is AI can be a crutch. If you ask AI for questions for you, where to go, what to do, that's very bad. If you know who you are and what you want, AI is a tool. So my clear message is, if you need to figure out who you are, what triggers you, what is your identity, what is your purpose, and then you can actually use AI as a tool. So it's a critical component that not the knowledge, but who you are in life, because AI cannot replicate your human agency.
I love that part because honestly, it's really easy to see it. If you use it in any way, shape, or form, you can say, you know what, I don't like that. I think it's wrong. They'll agree with you. So it's like AI basically gives you what you want rather than what you need. If you can kind of redesign the system, if you got a chance to start from scratch, just as a theoretical exercise, and you can start from scratch, what would you teach that's being ignored now in our educational system regarding AI?
Beautiful topic. So one of the frustrations I had actually when I was 33 and had a huge pivot in my life, because I found out that I had some subject of my own education. My education has given me the tools to make a living, but not the tools to live my life. Now, the problem comes because education is not vocational. So in an AI world, you need to know who you are because this is your identity is an economic asset. So education needs to involve your vocation alongside the skill set for them to figure out what you want to do in life. And so this is mission critical because AI cannot replace it. So we need to change totally the way we learn because it will be shorter, it will be faster, but we need to add the human component of that. Who am I in my agency? Because otherwise we will be lost. We will just subjugate to the machine. We will end up somewhere because an algorithm tells us to, most likely with mental health problems, burnouts, or even suicides. And you see all of that things climbing, steeply. So that is the component is education needs to change and adapt itself significantly.
I love it. Purpose has definitely been the theme for today. It's what we talk about on all four shows on our brand, but I've been having so many meetings today and purpose has been the theme. So again, the theme continues today, which is crazy. I love it. But for somebody that's kind of feeling stuck and burnt out, maybe they're feeling like they're not really engaging. Why is vocation important for somebody like that? And how would you help somebody who's in that state and they came to you?
Yes, a great question, Mr. Yu. Look, the point is the following. The vocation is your inside out. You decide for your life. It's based on your intuition, not opportunity out there. not focused on fame, fortune, and power, which is all external related, and you depend on the opinion of others. Your vocation you build, it's inside. It's actually defined, where your vocation starts. Your meaning of life starts between the age of 2 and 6 years. It's the earliest childhood memory. Something has happened there you did not like, and something you want to fix there because you had no filters, and there was no limits and no concerns. And if you peel that onion and you build it from there and you flip your script, suddenly you have the driving force in you, which sets you apart because that defines what you actually want to do in life. It's meaning of life. So that's not because I say it and I invent it. This is transactional science. This is psychology, deep psychology. It's a so-called script. And that is where you build it. So a vocation comes from inside out, and then you see what you can do and how you can develop and how you can contribute. If you don't do this, the education is only looking outside, only what other reference. And then you look at opportunities and you end up doing something because others, the society tells you, rather than for you to say, this is what I want to do, and that will make my life worth living.
I love that. So you said vocation or vocating is kind of from the inside out. Love the analogy. So because you deal with so many areas of business and education, how does that translate to identity when it comes to maybe perhaps entrepreneurship opportunities, income in the marketplace? How does that equate? How do we put those two things together to help out those that may not understand the process? What's the bridge between those two things?
First of all, it's our fundamental flaw. We are educated to say first you make money and then you do good. And that's fundamentally wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what you have to understand is that, let's look at entrepreneur. If there's something you want to contribute, if there's a wrong you want to right, if you have a mantra of you to really want to make a difference in the world, this is so strong, it's bigger than you, it's greater than you. The likelihood for you to succeed, even with a startup, is higher than just opportunities. Oh, there's a market, I hop on the market, I jump on the market. Because the driver is, again, inside out. So what you need to understand is, if you focus, if you put your purpose at the center of the decision-making professionally, economically, you basically are in your zone. What you do is your challenge, not because there's just an opportunity, because you figure out actually how you can deliver something and how you can create and how you can innovate. And so this is a massive shift. It sounds easy, and sometimes people say, oh, yeah, you're talking about purpose and purpose doing good. Hey, you need to have a job and you need to earn some money. But that's still the fundamental flaw, that we are educated on the fear side. You need to be strong. You need to be educated. You need to earn money. This is not necessarily what should your driving force be there. The end is the same, but the origin is a very different one.
Okay. That presents another question for me, because I totally agree with that. I really believe that purpose can't be, this is my assessment, I know it's incremental. As long as we're living, there's a purpose for us. That's how I view it. But it can't be something that's comfortable for us, something that keeps us in a stationary place. I feel like purpose is a living, moving organism, if you will, mechanism. It grows. We have to evolve and grow with it, and change and step into new areas, new uncharted waters, new uncharted territory. If purpose is not doing that, it's probably not purpose. I want to ask you, from somebody who has dealt with the leadership development aspect and the educational aspect, one of the things that I hear so much in personal conversations, coaching discussions, even on the show, are how to reframe the setback. I feel like you're keenly aware of how to speak to that. So give me in a few sentences, tell me how you help to reframe the setback with vocating being, as a focus.
Yes. So, and it's a wonderful comment. So the origin and the purpose doesn't change. What you do with it, you have a gazillion opportunities. And yes, you grow with it. And yes, you adjust. And yes, you might also looking how market moves, technology kicks in, all of that, you navigate through that. But your North Star has not changed. That is a piece, because it goes back to your script, because it's the origin, what makes meaning, gives meaning to your life. So on that side, what I help people is to discover inside out, first their purpose, then to see what you can do with a purpose, how you can make a living with a purpose, whether this is as entrepreneur or in market X or market Y, or is with technology, without technology, or whatever it is. That's a choice you have. And then it's important to understand it's a decision you make, and you grow only outside of your comfort zone. So you have to take a risk. So if you want to do safe bet, you will probably go for a job and have an income, but end up later on doing something which is not really for you. Yes, you made money. Yes, you had the success. Yeah, but probably you have a midlife crisis and saying, hold a second, life goes on. The only thing I cannot recover is time. I'm wasting my time. I need to do something. So I invite people to do that earlier. But it starts with you inside out. You cut out the noise. You discover and understand what is the things you really, what makes you worth living. And then you execute that. And life is hard. And you have to adjust. You have to have the stamina, and you have to stay on that. That doesn't change, but at least is you and your goal. And you don't have to justify anything to anyone because it's your decision.
I love it. All right, so I have your website up on the screen where people can find your work. If you're watching, if you're listening and you're not watching us, it'll be in the comments section of the chat, also in the show notes, so you can grab that at your leisure. But final question for you, Florian, then we'll close our broadcast out. With our audience in mind and your answer, how would you describe success for somebody who has kind of evolved the way your career has, maybe watching this and maybe in the same place that you were? What should success look like to them?
I love that question. Success is not fame, fortune, and power, because you will depend on others.
Okay.
And that's a miserable life. And as long as you get fame, fortune, and power, it's fine. But then afterwards, you fall off a cliff, because at your deathbed, you will not say that, it's my life worth living, because usually people answer that they have not lived and loved enough. So therefore, my calling is you figure out what is your success. And if you have your purpose and the contribution on what you do is bigger than yourself, life is worth living, and you will never work a day in your life again.
I love it. Impact investor, author, global keynote speaker, and serial entrepreneur. Definitely love that part. Florian Kemmerich. You can find him at on-vocation.com, on-vocation.com. Thanks again for being a part of the conversation, Florian. It's been fun, man. Thank you.
It's very fast, but very directed. Love to be with you.
Same here, sir. If you're watching for the very first time, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can find all of our work across social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. That's Florian Kemmerich. I'm Mr. You. Have a great day. Thanks for watching the Inspiration Station, where stories spark action. Have a good one.